This is a bit embarrassing. We took questions for this Q&A way back in October 2024.
I think we were in Zambia, we were stuck for a few days and we
Yeah.
thought it would be the right time to do a Q&A session.
Yeah.
But we have a number of reasons why we couldn't do it, but we're not going to tell it out here.
It's May 2025. We got another bunch of questions for doing this Q&A, so we put both of these together. If not for one or two questions that were probably very relevant for when we were on that journey, like in between the journey, I think all of those questions are still really good for being answered right now. So
Yeah, and I think a few questions which were asked in October 2024, if they have watched the videos, they might have found the answers in them as
that's
well.
true too. By the way, we are in Hanoi, Vietnam. It's our third time in this country. We came here at the start of season 1 in 2022 when we began traveling full time. And the
Before
first
that, we had come in 2017. This was our my third international trip. So
Yeah.
Vietnam, especially Hanoi, is one of my favorite places. You want to quickly show them how our street looks?
Yeah, this looks really nice. This is where we are. There are so many cafes everywhere, and we have this really cool room.
Yeah, we have our lunch at that banh mi shop every day or at that place, which is closed right now.
The Hanoi shop is that one there. Okay, we're back now. So, first question. How did you both go with visas for those remaining African countries you wanted to tour? Did you manage? Hope all went well. Well, it was a bit difficult, but when we were in Zambia and feeling so crestfallen about the whole plan to travel across the southern region of Africa, we somehow managed to hit a few miracles on the way, and we managed to accomplish, I would say, a majority of the countries that we wanted to visit. The only two countries that we did not visit were Mozambique and Swaziland, which we figured we'd save for another day because we really didn't have the time at that moment and we had to come back to India, back home to Bangalore. And that had already been like a whole year since we left home to get to Africa. So
But I must say, we had to have a lot of patience to get these visas and a lot of ways to figure out how to get these visas because none of them are really straightforward.
yeah, I mean, they're straightforward in the process, but just because we were not residents of Africa and we were traveling through, it made things so hard for us to get visas to each of those next countries. But like they say, there was a will and there was a way, and we managed to do it. A lot of it was also possible because of really encouraging support from a few of you watching along. Some of you actually gave us a call and attempted to help us in the whole process,
Yeah.
and that really made a big difference. So, thank you guys, you know who you are.
What would you say has been your most memorable trip so far?
I mean, it's hard to pick one. I mean, even if you say just pick one from Africa, it's so hard. But if you have to pick from all 3 seasons of full time travel, then it's even harder.
If if you ask only about season 3, I would say I loved road tripping through Namibia. It was like one of my favorite days through entire African adventure. Having the rental car, having the tent set up, getting to watch the sunset out in the wild in the deserts every day, sipping coffee whenever I wanted.
Yeah, that was fun because having our own car made things so much more easier. And I guess Namibia is one of those countries where there's truly no other way to really get around. It's super difficult, super complicated if you don't have your own wheels. And because we had them, we got to experience a whole other side of life that we would have never done in any other way. Especially like putting up our tent in the evening, and then just a couple of hours later, as we finished dinner, watching zebras come by and drink from a watering hole right in front of the car. That was like, you can't even imagine that something like that would happen, right? So,
And even at night, just like we were watching the stars, they were behind us, walking around us, or we could hear ostriches. It was like I was like forcing myself to stay away because there's so much happening even at night. Okay, next one. How do you manage visas on the go in your current long-term Africa trip? Do you apply in embassies and wait? What if what if visa of your existing destination is nearly expiring?
I know this question would have been more relevant if it was the middle of season 3, but we do have an answer for it because we did encounter some really weird situations.
It was, I think, in Namibia. It was the last I think one day before our visas were expiring, and we still did not have the visa for the next country, which was South Africa. It was in the afternoon around 12 o'clock.
It was a Friday.
It was the Friday afternoon, the last working day for the embassy to process our visa.
In case our passport was still with the South African High Commission, and in case we weren't able to extend our visa for Namibia, we'd basically be sitting illegally over the weekend.
Yeah.
And come Monday, we would be like
Overstaying in Namibia, not having a
Troublemakers.
South African visa.
Yeah, exactly. But Friday, 12 in the afternoon, somehow we managed to get that passport and visa, and we immediately started rushing down south towards the border, which was about 800 kilometers away or so. So you can imagine that was
And
a
at
very...
that, it was the last minute. We could not even book any bus. We just left and started hitchhiking. And luckily, by God's grace, we made it, I think,
Really
so
far.
far.
I think we made about 350, 400
Yeah.
kilometers by nightfall, and we still managed to somehow find a place to spend the night because of, again, people's kindness. Africans are super kind, and it was really nice. And then by morning, we again got on the road, and by late afternoon, we actually got to cross the border just a few hours before a Namibia visa would have expired. So we made it into South Africa, and
Yeah, and I think there was another question telling, did you have a backup plan?
oh yeah, the question we got was, what's your backup plan if everything goes north?
Yeah, I personally thought that day nothing would work out as per our convenience or favor. So our backup plan at that point was to hitchhike all the way from Windhoek, Namibia's capital city, towards the Angolan border, and
Because-
expect that we will get a visa on arrival there.
That was the only country in that region which we could actually enter without a visa beforehand. I mean, Botswana, we talked about how we had a very strange experience with immigration. So that probably would have also been possible, but this was the only thing we knew for sure. And going up again 700 kilometers that direction, we were like, oh my god, what do we do? And coming back to Namibia, how?
I think that was the most stressful point in our African adventure.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and also the crossing from Zambia to Angola.
That was special. Okay, which country in Africa has been the easiest to navigate so far? I think we should have two answers for this.
Easiest to navigate.
Yeah.
I felt very easy and comfortable in Tanzania.
I was gonna say my answer would have been Tanzania, but I guess we both have the same answer. Tanzania was super easy.
It's super chill. Everybody is super friendly, and it's also very affordable to travel
Yeah.
in Tanzania.
Public transport or hitchhiking. Everybody was always welcoming and very friendly.
And
So,
super chilled in Zanzibar especially.
yeah, it was really, really nice. I think Tanzania in general, we didn't feel that pressure of having to prepare any more for our journey or our days across the country. It is a big country
Yeah.
compared to its neighbors, like relatively bigger, and it still was really super smooth. to
And
do.
I think Tanzania had a mix of all. It had the beaches, it had the safaris, it had the waterfalls, the green mountains.
And cities, and then culture.
Now it really enjoys cities.
Because you get to see how Africa is not like what it's always told. It's not just the bush, there's so much more. And,
Exactly.
okay, the next question is, between Zambia or Namibia, which of the two would you say is visited more based on tourism, culture and hospitality? A question from one that has stayed in both countries. I'd say we saw more tourists in Namibia than we saw in Zambia.
Yeah.
But then culture and hospitality, I'd say,
It's
quite
richer
similar.
in Zambia?
I mean, it's quite
Maybe we
similar.
saw more in Zambia because there were more people in Zambia.
Yeah, that's true. Namibia is so sparsely populated,
Yeah.
it's hard to find people sometimes once you get out of the main cities. So, Zambians were also very friendly. Of course, there's a difference in income levels, and that shows when you're out and about. But as far as being guests in both of these countries go, I think we had a very wonderful
Yeah.
time. It's so hard to pick one.
Can't choose. What did you guys enjoy most during your stay in Malawi? Oh, I loved our time around the lake.
Yeah.
Everything around the lake was very nice.
Malawi for me was one of those small countries that's not actually too hard to explore, and there's a lot happening in a small space of land, and that makes sense because we had a whole month and we saw so much. And what was also memorable, for us is we did meet a lot of people from back home, like from India, and they also made this experience so much better. Whether it was by the lake or away from the lake, I think we had a very good experience then.
And I think it was our first time paddle boarding in Malawi and staying on and over water villa.
That's true. That we had never done before, I think.
Yeah.
But what we also hadn't done in Africa was falling sick, which we did in Malawi. And we got like a whole 4 or 5 days off from being able to do anything. And that was in Malawi. So we'll always remember that. That made it memorable. Okay, there was another question. The last question about Africa was what happened while leaving the park. I think this is the Namibia road trip part 3 vlog where we left the end in a very ambiguous manner. We never really told the story. I don't have to think about it. Maybe we'll talk about this at the end of the vlog. But
It's a little tricky to answer that.
yeah. Anyways, we'll move ahead to the next question, which says, where do you get funds to be traveling across countries?
I think this is one of the most asked questions for us.
Yeah.
You want to answer it?
I mean, I think I've even put this up as an FAQ on our website. So that's also linked down below. A few of the sources of income that we currently have.
YouTube income? Postcard club income?
Yes. Buy Me a Coffee. There have been some really wonderful people who've been helping us over at Buy Me a Coffee. And
the ad revenue we get from our website?
Yeah, our old blog is still up and running, and once in a while that gets something. It's really, really tiny, probably once in a few months that we get something. Not like YouTube that comes in almost every month. It's still quite a small amount, but it makes a difference to us. And some amount of money also comes in from our investments. So our investments are back home in India. That generates a bit of passive income, and that comes to our bank accounts. It's again not a lot, but enough to, as a combination, all of these are helping us stay on the road and continue traveling. We really hope to make a better change, like a positive change towards increasing our active revenue source from YouTube or, maybe affiliate income. We have to really do something about it because the countries that were affordable to travel in are mostly over on our list. And now it's all the more expensive ones ahead. So that does.
And I don't think $30 a day budget would work for European countries or American countries.
Even West Africa.
Even West Africa is not on that budget.
Even parts of Asia would be so hard. Like imagine going to Japan and probably trying to wing it with $30 a day. That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So
I think it works best in Southeast Asian countries where you can.
Yeah, true. Here, I mean, look at this room.
And we're paying $10 for this room.
800 something rupees, and this is what we have. It's really, really nice. So that's how it is. Getting funds to travel is one side of the story. Managing our budget is the whole other side. In a way, when you cut down on your expenses, it almost feels like it's another income because now you have more room to spend on other things.
Yeah.
And I think that's important here.
And while traveling, I feel it is very easy to overspend. We get so tempted to go to every attraction or sit at every fancy restaurant and have food. Like we have to cut our desires every single day.
We have to manage that a lot better.
Yeah.
What's your full or part-time job or work? I think the last question should have answered like this fairly well.
Yeah.
We're right now still traveling full-time and we try to earn from the ad revenue that comes from YouTube for playing our videos. So the longer you guys watch it and you like it, it really makes a difference to us. And the second one, of course, is Buy Me a Coffee, where people have contributed to keep us on the road.
And our Postcard Club.
Postcard Club. Okay, speaking of costs, somebody asked, which website do you use to book airline tickets and which credit cards do you use? We're not big fans of miles and points on travel credit cards because one, most of those cards don't come for free, and because we're not back home in India flying back and forth as often, we haven't found the need to get those yet. Although we do have one card, I think it's from Axis Bank. It was an earlier Citibank credit card which now converted into Axis Bank's credit card, and I do get miles on that. But we've never really focused on using that because we try to find the cheapest flights which are usually not on the best reward program. So like AirAsia, for example.
And we usually take flights only when we are flying out of India or back home to India, and in between we mostly cross countries over land borders.
Yeah.
So our flight expenses that way are
That's true.
Yeah.
What does help with flight booking is that we typically use We typically use a couple of websites. I've linked them down below in the description. You can check them out. So when we go on there and we find these flights, we try to compare them, like the prices on those websites as well as the airline's website. And if it makes sense to buy there, and that's usually without the benefit of miles and points being applied, if that ticket is still cheaper, I mean, that makes complete sense to just buy it. And that's what we do. So we found flights for as cheap as $0 while flying inside Vietnam. We even made a vlog about it. It was so good to be true that we decided we have to check this out, and we booked that flight. We actually went and flew on it. So to see whether it was a gimmick, I think you should watch that video and you'll get an idea.
When are you visiting Sydney? Well, Australia has been on our mind for quite a long time now.
Yeah.
And if we do visit Australia, our interest is to do a long road trip there.
Yeah, I don't know if we could possibly do it, but I'd love to go like a full lap around the country. We probably have to learn how to fix a car before we do that, because I think there are no mechanics out there if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
So
And especially after renting that car in Namibia, I'm more and more tempted to do this in Australia.
I think at some point I'd really like to see us do road trips more often.
Yeah.
That would be so much more fun. Maybe even like, I don't know, van life, overlanding.
Very interested in van life.
Budget goes out the window,
Yeah.
but we'll have to figure that out somehow.
Australia definitely on the list, but we don't know when.
Yeah. And if we do, you'll be the first to hear.
But,
Does season 4 include Southeast Asia by any chance?
Well, of course, we are in Vietnam.
Daryl, we're just a little bit away from you. If you can hop on over and come here. I know you like being here in Vietnam too, so.
What movies did you watch recently? Well, when we were in India, we watched a lot of movies. Well, even while traveling, we watched a few, but not so much.
Yeah.
Recent ones.
I don't even know, but I've been watching a lot of 90s movies. I kind of like that old 90s Hollywood vibe.
Yeah.
Like, especially the way they film those. The aesthetic is really cool. I don't really know if we can replicate it for our own vlogs, but it's super cool. So I enjoy watching that. The most common genre that we watch is mostly suspense. And thrillers.
Courtroom dramas.
Yeah.
I personally like comedy, which Nami doesn't like.
I like them, but I mean, I need something to like.
He wants movies which will stimulate his brain and keep him active.
Yeah. Even if it's at like 1 a.m. at midnight, I still want to watch one of those over something funny.
If you have any movies you want us to watch which you truly enjoy, you let us know. We will watch it.
Yeah.
When are you coming to Brazil?
Another question about visiting the southern hemisphere. I think there's like a trend coming here. There's like a hint that we should take that direction.
Anyway, we've learned a little bit of Portuguese. I think we should put it to use.
Angola was really helpful in that sense. Timor-Leste too.
Yeah.
Brazil, we'd really love to visit. Brazil's been super high on our list. The main reason why Shish started learning Portuguese a few years ago was because she was working with clients in Brazil. And she ended up learning a few words, and I ended up sitting in those classes along with her, and we both picked it up. We put it to good use in Timor-Leste and Angola, but now I think we want to try the real deal. Getting to South America, I think, requires a lot more planning and preparation.
And the visas.
Yeah, and the visas are a lot more work. Like, South American visas are alright, but to get there, we have to apply first for an American visa because most of the travel route goes that way, and that would make a lot more sense for us. So, I think if we do that, you'll be the first to know again. When are you traveling to Hyderabad? How are you keeping yourself busy these days? What travel YouTube person did you recently discover and are enjoying? Well, we were there.
We were there last year?
Yeah, January 2024. I don't think we'll be back there anytime soon. But if we do, we'll definitely share. How are you keeping yourself busy these days? I guess this question was quite relevant to the last 3 months that we were at home in Bangalore. Well, we went through a lot of stuff. Some of it was medical, some of it was, I don't want to say mental, it sounds so bad. Some of it was like stuff that we had to really envision for the rest of our lives, and we had a lot of conversations around that because traveling full time and traveling for these long distances, these long periods at a stretch really have a strong impact on our bodies and our mind. and we had to address both of those.
Yeah, and while traveling, we usually don't get enough time to sit and discuss what we personally want. It's always like, okay, let's move. What is the next city we have to go to? We have to book the bus, we have to book the hotel. What about the visas? There are hundreds of questions running in our mind every single day. So I think the last 3 months was really nice that way, where we could sit.
It was a holiday from those thoughts.
Yeah, but many other thoughts were busy that time.
So that's what kept us busy. Besides that, we also got to catch up on a lot of yummy food back home, like Indian food still ranks
Believe
super high.
it or not, I have increased 6 kilograms in just 3 months or 2.5 months eating a lot of food.
So that's shish. I don't think I added as much weight as she did, but I still ate a lot of stuff. I think I've added like maybe 4 kgs. But it was a lot of fun. We also got to meet family and friends, spend time, and it made a difference.
We spent time in our own rooms and our own bed. We cooked the food the way we wanted to eat.
Shish ate that too.
But it was fun.
And as for the travel YouTube person, I think there hasn't been one new person as such. I think we've been off YouTube for a while, just attending to all these things. But we have been watching more videos around the travel family genre, to see, is that even possible? Are people doing it? How is that possible? I think it came up because a friend of ours was talking about it, and then we were like, do such things exist?
Yeah.
And then we just went on
and
to
a little bit about van life also.
Yeah, van life has been interesting.
How do we do it? What are the things we should keep in mind?
Boat life, although that's probably impossible for us to do as Indian people. I mean, the capital itself needed to get a boat is way out
maybe
of
someday, far away.
If YouTube blows up and we make a huge amount of money, then maybe
we're gonna sail across the world. But before that, I want to drive across the world.
All right. So that's
and have a home on wheels.
We have a lot of ambitions, as you can see. I don't know how much of this will actually fructify. So please stick around and watch us at least accomplish a few of these.
Because I am personally so inclined to leading a van life, because I'm the one who gets tensed every single time there's the stay is not booked for the next day. Like right now, we don't have a stay booked for 2 days later. So I'm super stressed. So if we have a van life, I know I have a bed to sleep at night.
That's true. And it's the comfort of familiarity. Like you have the same bed every
It's
day.
like a mini home.
And the last question we got was, what equipment do you have? What do you use for your videos?
Is it just phone, or you have other cameras? Do you have mics? If you use camera, what size memory card do you use? What tripods? As you don't have much space for lots of equipments, I'm curious as you do a good job with what you have. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We do use a bunch of cameras, but there's this thing, you probably already heard it. Whatever camera is in your hand is the best camera you've got.
For that moment.
At that moment. And very often, I've just got this on me, just a phone. Especially when we're crossing borders or in a market, when something immediately happens and the camera is still off. So we use this one, which is an iPhone 12 mini. It has a regular 1x camera and a 0.5x wide angle, as it's labeled. This does the job, but this is probably used about 30% of the time. The majority of our filming happens on our main camera, which is a Sony ZV-1. It's a tiny point and shoot camera, but it's got all the good stuff that more expensive Sony Alpha mirrorless cameras have. It really does a fantastic job.
The quality is almost the same, I can say, and it's so small, it just goes in my pocket.
It's just like a regular home camera, like a tiny one, but it does everything that a big camera does.
And we have attached a small tripod to the Sony ZV-1, so that tripod works as a tripod or even as like a selfie stick when we are holding like this and vlogging on the road.
The only problem with this camera is that the angle isn't wide enough. So when we are vlogging, it always feels, constricted.
We appear too big on the screen, I feel.
So that is something we could address if we get the newer model. But yes, budget constraint, so we'll put that ahead for later. We also have an action camera, which is a DJI Osmo Action 3. We got it 2 years ago during season 1 when we were transiting through Singapore. We bought it at the airport there. It was a good deal. We even got this really long selfie stick with it that sort of now helps us double that camera up as a drone. We don't carry a drone. So that one makes quite a bit of impact.
They're super useful like underwater, or even when you have a busy travel day when you can't take out your big camera.
Yeah.
Namit usually puts it in the bottle holder of his backpack and he just walks. Nobody even notices it.
It gets you one of those POV shots just
Yeah.
because it's there. But it's also super light, comes with 3 batteries, durable, and it's an action camera, so you can be quite violent with it and it still survives. So that's why we have those. So these 3 cameras are always with us.
Yeah.
Shish's phone is an iPhone XR. It gives up before you can say please shoot. And
It's a very old phone. It's almost, I think, 7 years old, 5 years old now. And it
Yeah.
hangs most of the time. So my phone is just for my personal use, nothing for vlogging.
yeah, so we manage with this much.
What?
But okay. Okay, go ahead.
But we recently bought a new camera. It's super cute, super small, smaller than the ZV one we had. Maybe we'll show you in the next vlog.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Like, we bought it mainly because we wanted that wider angle and the phone wasn't really helping. Most of the time we wouldn't have storage, or the
Yeah.
quality of the filming we were struggling with because we have so many cameras and there's a mismatch. So we figured we'd get one of these. We'll show you more in the next vlog.
And there was another question on what SD cards, what space, how do we manage memory around it. So Namit's phone has only 64 GB. That's why we can't rely on it that much.
I mean, if you take out the apps, the system storage and all of that, the stuff, like the space I get for stuff that is relevant to shooting, like photos and videos, I think it would be less than 15 GB of space, which gets filled like this.
And I have to back up his phone like once every 2 days.
Yeah. And
On our camera, we have a 64 GB memory card, which
It's a Sony card.
is good for I think 4 to 5 days for us, unless we're doing a safari vlog.
yeah, that eats up because when we switch from 1080p to 4K,
Yeah.
it fills up quick.
And to manage all our data, we have a 5 TB hard disk where we have all our content saved from season 1 till season 3. So maybe for the next season it won't be enough and we will have to buy a new one.
So we left that one back at home on this season's
yeah.
trip, and we got one of our older hard drives, which is about 2 TB in size. We figured this journey might actually be a lot shorter than the previous seasons. We've sort of planned to spend about 2.5 to 3 months on the road in season 4. So there's very few countries that we have planned to visit because we have to be back home in India in July, end of July, early August for another thing. So we didn't need as much space. With the new camera, we'll need another micro SD card. We
Yeah.
already have one from the action camera, which is also a 64 GB or a 120, 64 GB SanDisk card. So we'll probably use that here as well. So this is how we manage storage.
And I do the backup work once every 3 days at least.
In the video description below, I've put links to all of our gear, so you can go check that out. I've also left a link to our website, so you can go check that out too. One of the most interesting things on our website is our expense report for the last 3 years of traveling full time.
Yeah.
So if you're really curious to see how much this has cost, season by season, country by country, everything that you're probably looking for is right there. So I'll leave links to that as well. And hopefully you'll find it as interesting as I did while making it.
By the way, Navneet has created a brand new website for us. It's called namandshish.com.
Yes.
Earlier we had an amateur travel blog in the name backpacksters.com, which was not functioning really well. It had a lot of hiccups, so we decided to give it a twist.
Yeah, so that website's still around and we don't know what we'll do with it yet, but this is the new one where we want to share more resources, more experiences that that complement what we've been sharing about here on the vlog. So it's really special to us. We both don't know coding. I have tried to do it the best I could. So if any one of you is a website builder or coding, please review it and let me know if it's fine.
Yeah.
I did take the help of online guides and AI to sort of make it better. But hope we answered all of your questions, and if you have any more, we're happy to answer them. Just add them in comments below and we'll get to them as soon as we can. And we're always available on email. You can contact us through our website, on Instagram.
And also, if you want to receive a postcard from us from a new country every single month, don't forget to sign up for our postcard club.
Yeah.
We've also link that down below.
And for all of our members of the club, so we're in a new country, we should hopefully be sending one out to you very soon. Thanks you guys for watching this vlog, and we'll see you again in the next one.
Bye!
Hi.
We were just editing our Q&A video and we realized that we had forgotten to answer one question. This question was about what happened to us when we were exiting the national park of Sosufle and Deadfle in Namibia.
Yeah. Basically, we hadn't told the story back then because we thought we'd get into a lot of trouble. Anyway, we did get into a bit of trouble, but the trouble went away because of African kindness again. So basically, what happened was we were in the national park about 1 hour in from the entry gate. And basically, the way the national park works is that you line up in the morning at 6 a.m., get into the park, you basically get a slip that says when you come back, you have to pay your entry fee and then exit the park. So we had left and we explored this park. We were far inside enjoying everything. And we forgot, or basically, we didn't know that we had to leave the park at sunset. Sunset, according to them, was 7 p.m., and sunset, according to us, was when the sun actually set. And that was at 8. So when we drove back after watching the sunset to the main gate, we had spent an hour and we could only drive at 60 kilometers per hour. And we saw a few other vehicles also driving. So we never thought that we'd be in trouble. It was only when we got to the gate we realized all the others were going into the most expensive campsite in the area, which was located inside the national park, which was way out of our budget, and we didn't plan on spending the night there. And when we came to the gate, we realized that the guy who collects the money, like the billing system, it was all shut down more than an hour ago, and we were stuck on the wrong side of the gate. Basically, we were the only ones who had overstayed, sort of, in the park, and we weren't really allowed to leave without making a payment.
And when we tried to tell them that we'll pay them in cash so that they could let us out, they said no, only card payments were accepted.
So while it was great that they are trying to prevent corruption, we got stuck in this little mess because we couldn't make a payment, we couldn't get a handwritten confirmation that we had paid, we couldn't leave.
And we could not even afford the campsite inside the national park.
So then we got on a call with the warden. The warden was really upset. He even said, "This is my Sunday, you're ruining it by calling me after hours." And then he said, "If I have to come down there and open the gate for you, you're going to be in a lot of trouble." I said, "Please, sir, don't do that." And then we spent the next 30 minutes apologizing for what was definitely a bad thing on our side. And then finally, at around 8:30 or 8:45, he told us to set up our camp right next to the security office and then spend the night there. And we did that. We didn't have to pay any extra money for this. We slept right next to the gate, watching the stars with our tent popped up on the car. And wow, it was so magical.
And then the next morning, he just came, he took whatever the official fee was for the park, and then he said, "You are free to go now."
Yeah. So
So
basically,
basically, we camped inside the national park for free.
so that was the story. There's a few more details to it that I don't think I can ever really share. So I guess this should do for now. But one thing I'll tell you is I'll never overstay
Yeah.
anywhere ever again. I don't know about Shish though.
Come on. After that, every time I'm entering some national park, I check what is the entry time, what is the exit time, and then I make
Yeah.
a note of it.
So that was the story, you guys.